here in I'm Kanitsi, and on this channel I mostly play through the games that I made, and Ludum Dare the period for making games for Ludum Dare has ended now. The voting has started, and I have spent 3 days making a game based on the theme we got, which is tiny creatures. This is for Ludum Dare 56, and if you are coming here from my Ludum Dare page, here you are going to see just basically the playthrough of the game. As I said on my page, there are 72 creatures that you can get as a result. Obviously I'm going to only play through, I will play through twice to show you just a regular ending, because mostly the endings are the same. 71 endings are the same, you just get a different creature, and there is one secret ending which might be pretty hard to get because it's out of 72 options, so I'm going to show it to you as well. If you are curious, you can skip to the time code where the gameplay itself begins, but right now I wanted to talk a little bit about my process with the game, which is the idea I got pretty much immediately. I actually voted for this theme. I wanted to make something cute and girly this time, which it didn't quite work out because I feel like I'm so horror psychological themes wired that I just couldn't help but add some of those elements to the game, but it still has these kind of cute and girly vibes in the items, in the desserts, and basically the idea itself of a personality test. I feel like this is such a fun pastime with your girlfriends. You're like, oh, let's see what kind of fruit are we. I'm a tomato, I'm a lemon, and obviously you are not taking this seriously. It is just for laughs, for sharing with others, talking about it, and that's basically what I wanted to do. I wanted to give you as many options as possible. Gosh, 72, that was really hard. I spent a lot of time just drawing the pictures for all of these creatures, and yeah, basically I just wanted something that you can get a result and then you can share with others, something maybe in the comments on the page of Ludum Dare, or you can maybe send it to a friend and ask, oh, what creature are you? That's the idea I had in mind. And yeah, my process basically was mostly drawing. I used RPG Maker MV for making the game, so I didn't have to program anything. Obviously I did make the events and the connections, and it did take a lot of time to implement everything, but obviously art took 80% of the time, maybe. Also the audio took a lot. I recorded voiceover for the game, and so all the the voices, it's all me. I wrote the text and I wrote a little bit of poetry, and I felt inspired, and then I thought, okay, I have to voice over the poetry as well, so you can really feel it. So I was very inspired with the audio. I made some music tracks and I added some effects on it, some ambience, and used also my voice with reading poetry, used an effect on it, made it quiet, and used it as an ambience for the first location, which I thought added a little bit of those creepy vibes that I really like. And the only thing that I didn't actually write the melody is in the labyrinth, because I have this toy. It's a bit shaky, but I bought it on a Christmas market. We don't really celebrate Christmas much in Russia. It was mostly New Year market actually, but it has very Christmassy vibes, and I just was thinking what kind of music can I add, something interesting. And the music he plays, it actually, and for me personally, when used in a certain way, it does give these creepy vibes as well. I know it's supposed to be happy holiday music, but maybe because it is often used in horror, as contrast, between the dark setting and this kind of holiday music, it gives me now also that feeling of like, oh, there's something scary can happen. So I thought that was a great addition to the game, and obviously I wanted to do more things with the game as well, but yeah, only 3 days, so I didn't quite have time for it. I wanted more like mini games, more locations, but I barely finished the game as it was, like in the last minutes. I think I was submitting the game 5 minutes before the deadline, because I was just implementing all the creatures in the very end until like the last minutes, so you could actually get all of these endings, and that was just like, I was in the state of panic. I'm still shocked. It's like right now it's the next day after Ludum Dare, and I woke up completely like dead inside. I'm like, what is going on? I couldn't believe I actually did submit the game. I reloaded the page like 5 times. Is it really submitted? Am I dreaming? So obviously there are still a lot of things that I would like to add and tweak and change, but I'm quite happy with the game as it is now. It's very short, which is good for Ludum Dare, and the main idea of like a personality test is there. I had to write also a little description for each of the creatures, and I was also doing most of it basically last minute, so it's not maybe as thought out as I would like to. So that's also something I would love to improve, like the descriptions of the creatures, but I still put a lot of heart into it, a lot of thought into it, as much as I could in the time crunch. So let's see, let's try playing the game, and I will add some thoughts, additional thoughts if I have any. This is like, like a developer walkthrough. The settings that I said when I was working on the game, they are not saved in the version that I put out. Okay, I already put the dash on, so if you are playing, that's really helpful to turn autorun on. And then maybe I should have put this on, and I really don't like when the music is loud, so I put that lower as well, especially since I think my voiceover sometimes is a bit quiet. The music in the title screen I wrote in beep box, very simple melody, but I feel like it also fits the vibe of kind of cute but creepy game. So let's watch the intro. Again, I wanted to do an animated intro. I was being crazy. I thought I would have time for it. Obviously not. But at least I voiced it. And yeah, I used effect on my voice. I edited in Mavavi, and I put like robot audio effect on it. And I was quite happy with it. I think it doesn't really sound like a robot. It gives more of this, I don't know, ethereal creature from another world feeling. And I also thought about voicing the girls, but yeah, I maybe it's not a good idea, because I only have my voice, and everyone then basically will have the same voice, which might be not perfect. But here we have Clarissa. Also wanted to make a sprite for her, but didn't have time for it. But at least she has a portrait, and I think she's really cute, but she doesn't have a lot of spotlight in this game. So she says, come on, you said you'll do it. Only because I can't say no to a dare. Well, here it is, a dare. And the door is open. For real, I wonder how nobody stole any books yet. You coming? Oh, it looks creepy. You wanted to check it out, not me. I don't know, it gives me heebie-jeebies. Let's get out of here. What? We just came... And she left. There she goes, right after dragging me into this. Well, I could at least look around. Choose an interesting book to read. So we have Mausu, our main character, and yeah, here a little bit of info like how to play the game, because I learned with all the Ludum Dares, with all the gems, you kind of have to put it in. Nobody cared for them in a long time. They look like my mom's. She's talking about the dead plants. So yeah, she is a schoolgirl and a little bit like Japanese schoolgirl inspired, with her clothes, as you can maybe see. Like she has a really tiny sprite, and yeah, I drew the animation. I really like it when she stands like here to the side. Very cute, very girly, very demure. So let's just look around a little. There is a box with a game cartridge. It must be for some old console. The hat with a big bird on the tip looks funny. I wonder if I could play it. Obviously, she's talking about Minish Cap, because I wanted to put a little bit of my inspiration in the game. I was thinking, when I thought tiny creatures and I thought about this game, I was thinking Minish Cap. I was thinking Alice in Wonderland. These are the main things that I had in mind. Obviously, it's not a direct thing, it's more like a little bit of inspiration. Some legal document. It sounds angry. Collection of fairy tales. This could be good. I wonder if there's anything cool on the shelves too. Looks old, but I'm pretty sure it's a cash register. I wasn't sure if you will realize it is a cash register. I googled the pictures of old ones, kind of to draw it. Maybe these are the books the shopkeeper was reading before whatever happened to this place. These books are all about insects. I wonder if the person working here liked them a lot. And yes, they did. Alice in Wonderland. I loved this book. This one is a bit more obvious, of course, than Minish Cap. Poetry, that's not half bad. Let's try some. So this poem, well, I can read it out, but we will actually also hear it again in the... Okay, this is a bit of a spoiler. Let's just read it out. And as the day turns to the night, my eyes on you are lit with fire. And as I fly out in the light, I have but one, oh one desire. I'm all alone beyond the curtain. This world has opened just for me. But many others that I'm certain would love to join, and they will be... And here she doesn't want to read anymore. She's like, boring. I'm not reading all that. No wonder this shop went out of business. Absolutely nothing to read. And here we have mathematics. That's just insulting. Classic literature. She doesn't like neither of that. This all in some foreign languages, and it's all science, biology. I think biology is a pretty like vast concept. I was thinking mostly etymology, which is again insects. So with this part, this bookshop, obviously I drew the whole tile set, and this part is a little bit like adventure, find an item, use an item, and I think maybe you could be lost in here, I'm not sure, but I tested it on my mom and she immediately noticed like something is wrong with this armchair, and so she clicked on it and she found it pretty quick. Something is sticking out from under the cushion. A code. And with the code, I kind of wanted to do it a little bit more conspicuous, but as my mom is also Russian, she can immediately read it correctly, because if you read it in Russian, it says trap. And you can immediately, if you know also English, connect it with the English word trap, which is basically, yes, a trap. So maybe that became a little bit too on the nose. I'm not sure how it looks to an English speaker that doesn't know Russian. But we got a code, so the game can finally begin. Last note, there are little creatures running around. I wanted to do more of them, more colors, more design. Again, didn't have time for that, but I think even with 3 of them, they give the needed effect that I was going for. So let's use the code. What a strange door. Looks like I need some kind of code to open it. Let's try the code I found in the armchair. And we are in. I think it's quite obvious which object to use here. I noticed when you kind of try to click on it with the mouse, nothing happens because it's so tall. You have to actually, like, this is the active zone under the book, and when you click enter it works, but when you use a mouse it's a bit finicky, so it's kind of better to play with the keyboard. This book, I can barely reach it. Good thing there is a stool. Okay. And we got the test. At this point, I also remember that I forgot to talk a little bit more about the main character. So, as I said, there's a lot of inspiration from different areas in my life, and I also imagined that her relationship with her mom is pretty complicated. Well, I have a good relationship with my mom. I took still some things from it, and since my mom is a biologist and she researches rodents, and when I was thinking like what kind of name to give my character, I wanted it to be something maybe like more like Japanese, because she is inspired by this. I imagined her like a girl from Sailor Moon universe, more like that, because there's also that inspiration from watching Sailor Moon when I was a kid, and say we also have an Sailor Moon themed item in the game, which we might find. I was thinking about the name. I didn't want to give her just a Japanese sounding name, especially since I thought they think this isn't happening in Japan. I'm not sure where exactly, but I feel like maybe an English speaking country, and she might even not have a Japanese, like straight up Japanese name. I was thinking about it really hard, and then I thought I will call her like a mouse in Japanese. I tried to research it. I'm not sure if you know Japanese, please do correct me, but I wrote her name like mouse pronounced in Japanese, like mausu, and I went with that. So that's the idea behind her name. She's like a mouse, because my mom researches rodents. I don't think her mom does. Her mom isn't a biologist, but that's basically like my inspiration behind it. And here we have the cover of the book. It's pretty tiny. It turned out pretty tiny, and I didn't want to stretch it out or draw it anew, so it stayed tiny. And this is a personality test. Which tiny creature are you? Basically the game we are playing. Oh, Mouse says, I love all those personality tests. If only Clarissa didn't take them so seriously. Let's see, what will I get? Wait, what's going on? Oops. Huh? That's quite immersive. Feels like I was transported into a labyrinth? So it is a little bit quiet, isn't it? But yeah, I kind of went all in with the poetry, and I thought, okay, this kind of creature that gave us the intro, it's also going to give us directions like what to do in all of our tests. And yes, this personality test, it's it's based on luck, to be honest, on chance a lot, not actually on the traits of your personality, which is a bit ironic. But to be honest, as I said, I don't take these tests too seriously anyway. It's just for fun, so I did want to make it in a form of a game. And here we have a labyrinth. That was a bit hard to do when I was drawing it. I was like, it is too easy. Where are we going to go? Let's see. But when I tested it out, it is easy, but like not too much. I feel like I'm quite happy with it after all. And interesting detail here, on the like upper tiles that are the walls of the labyrinth, you can see a very like vaguely a butterfly, which again kind of continues with the insect theme for the game. Let's go to the orange room, because I didn't have much time to test it. Maybe I didn't have time to test everything at all, to be honest. Orange, my favorite color, right? Let's go. Okay. I suppose I have to pick a dessert. let's go for it. So, this is pound cake, this is pumpkin tart, and this is oranges and chocolate. I think I tested oranges, so let's risk it and go for pumpkin tart. Hopefully everything works. Pumpkin tart, my favorite dessert, I suppose. Do you like it? I mean, I think many jammers do add a little bit like about the crunch they had to go through, and I did that as well actually, like in the poem itself, because I did want to make a treasure hunting mini game, but as I envisioned it, it was just impossible. So it became just like there are two chests and you have to choose one, and you get either one treasure or another treasure, which might be quite boring, but at least it works, and it still took quite some time because of how many treasures there are. But in theory, like in perfect world, if I continue working on this game, this would be a whole like mini game with treasure hunting. What? These poems keep getting weirder and weirder. Maybe I need to open one of the chests. Okay, let's open one of them. Okay, note another little detail that I added right now. There's a little bug on the chest. I know everything is super tiny, but if you look at it closely, when I open the chest, if you can see it, it opened its wings, because I made the animation for the chest opening as the bug also opens its wings. I know it's a little detail and it's maybe easy to miss, so I wanted to point it out as I spent time on it. And you found a fall themed puzzle. Again, here, as you could notice, when we chose the color and when we chose the dessert, Mouse was like, oh, it is my favorite, right? But she wasn't quite sure. And that is the idea, because she is actually her own character. She has her own personality. But when you force her to move through these things and choose certain things, she is being kind of brainwashed almost into thinking, oh, this is my favorite dessert, my favorite color, while in fact that isn't true. And that is actually how we will find the secret ending. Well, if you try to find it yourself, it will be trial and error, but I will give you right now a hint that if she says confidently, this is my favorite color, this is my favorite dessert, and there's no like, I'm not sure, then you are on the right track. And I wanted to add something like this for the treasures as well. Again, ran out of time, but she is supposed to say something, oh, like that is my favorite hobby, my favorite toy, my favorite pastime about the treasures too. And she should express also like uncertainty about it, because you are basically forcing a new personality on her as a player. And we found a fall themed puzzle, also drew all the icons for all of these items. It took a lot of time, but it was worth it. I really like them. I feel like it enhances the experience. That is my favorite poem, to be honest. Out of all these short ones, this I think is my favorite. I listened to it many times because I did test a little bit, not like thoroughly, but I did, and I like listen to it every time. Come up to the book, child. There is but a single question left. Okay, let's go. We are on the finishing line. We are almost done. This is the last room. As you can see, they're getting tinier and tinier, and here we have a book again. She has a stool ready so she can reach it if she wants to. Let's imagine she did. There's only one question on the page. Okay, last round. Do you choose music or silence? Okay, I also wrote this sound. I didn't actually like write it. I used, wait a second so I can see it as well. This is the ball that I used, and it kind of makes music, so I use it sometimes in my games for musical effects. And so this effect, if you can hear it, it's basically this, a little bit edited. Okay, let's just answer the final question. Let's choose, for example, music. Music helps us live and process our emotions. I can't imagine the world without it, Mouse said. For some reason, I decided to add her comment to every freaking question, every freaking answer for a question, which was a lot and also ended up eating up a lot of time. But again, I wanted to make sure she kind of stays her own character because she has her own like personality and preferences, as I imagined. And again, here you are kind of forcing an opinion on her, but I tried to make most of these comments more neutral so you can still get a feel of her opinions, like what she prefers and what she likes. And if she doesn't like completely subscribe to some opinion, she will give a more neutral answer. So here she says neutrally that yeah, music is good, it helps us live and process our emotions. And here you get the result just like that without any fanfare, and I'm really happy how it directly fit into the room, the little card. It was just magical because I didn't quite plan it, but it's almost perfect, and I was so happy. I was so unreasonably happy with it when I realized that oh, it's just like a perfect fit. And this is one of those little creatures. We have 12 pink creatures, 12 orange, and so on and so forth for all the 6 colors that we have: pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, and which gives us 72 as a result. So we got Sing Sting. I think it's really cute. I try to make most of them cute, and mostly the designs, these are all made up creatures. Designs are all just from my head. I was inspired a little bit like by insects, but as you can see, this is not quite, this is more like maybe a sea creature, because in the end I was inspired by other creatures as well, the sea creatures and even cats, etc., etc. So not only insects after all, because well, you have to think up 72 completely like original creatures. And if I had more time, I would take more care into researching insects, choosing different insects as my base. But as I had to like quickly draw it, I ended up not doing like all of them insect based. So let's finish this. That's my result. Here it says, you know a good balance between all the things in life and can always be patient. You like everything unordinary and express yourself well. So, writing these texts, I tried to take into account everything you went through. So here in orange we got Sing Sting. I don't know if you can see it well, I have a whole like notebook where everything is written out. And let's look at it. Yes, it's orange. You chose orange color, then you chose pumpkin tart, then you got puzzle as your treasure, and then you chose music in the question, and that gives you Sing Sting. So as you can see, when you get in the room, you already limit yourself to 12 creatures. It's not the combination of choices, it's more like elimination process, right? So you get into the pink room, okay, you only have 12 possible creatures you can get, right? Then you choose a dessert, which is a cupcake, and immediately this is only 4 creatures now, right? Then you get a treasure, and after that you only have 2 options that you can get, and the question basically decides which option it is. So that's how it is. Again, if it was more complicated, maybe it was a combination of choices, but then it would also be such a huge number of creatures that you could get. That would be just not humanely possible, I feel like, to make them all. But let's move on. Sing Sting. It became so quiet. I think there should still be music. Maybe I forgot to add music to this room. Dang it. What's happened? Oops. I think she just disappeared. this is a regular ending. You disappear, and then this poem plays out, which again I'm really happy with how it turned out. And then that's it. You look around the bookshop, and when the game ends after this ending, you get back to the main menu, and this place, which for me was pretty much a perfect sequence. So that was a regular ending with one of the creatures. You can go through the test yourself and see what you got. Again, as you can see, it's not really testing your personality. It also has its own story, the game, obviously. And if you collect all of the hints, you kind of can construct a story in your head, like what happened, what it is about. But before you do, if you are curious like about the story, I think you should also see the secret ending that I added in. I thought it would be fun to just make like 1 out of 72 that is different, and I'll show it to you right now. Okay, so this time we go to a purple room. My favorite color. Now note, she says purple, my favorite color. That's it. Dot. She doesn't add anything. So this is a hint that it is actually her favorite color. So here we have 3 desserts: plum pudding, ube ice cream, and candied violets. I know it's kind of might be hard to guess what the heck is, like, especially candied violets are, but I swear I tried my best. I really like actually how the plum pudding turned out, and we are going to choose it. And here she says, my favorite dessert. No, again, like maybe, I suppose. Okay, so here we have again 2 treasures, and we choose the left chest. And we found a Furby. Look, it also has its little icon. It's a bit of a shame that they are so tiny, because when I was drawing, I was very zoomed in, and then I zoom out, and I'm like, oh, where are my grandma glasses? I can't see anything. But yeah, so Furby is her favorite toy, which is, yeah, maybe right now it's not very popular or anything, but in my childhood I was like all about a Furby. Like, oh, wait, this is the Furby that I have right now, but it was a gift when I was already an adult, and I'm not really playing with it. It's just standing mostly, and I don't know, it felt like, oh gosh, there's so much dust, guys. I have to dust my room. What the heck? But yeah, when I was a kid, I had a different Furby, and it felt to me like it was smart. I'm sorry, you can't hear it, right? Like it was smarter than this Furby. I didn't have as much fun, unfortunately, playing with this Furby, but it could be because now I'm an adult, and well, when I got it, I was already an adult, so kind of maybe the magic wasn't there. I didn't feel the same, but I like looking at it. It's cute, and it reminds me of my childhood, and so I wanted to add it in the game. And maybe in Mouse's universe, Furbies are still in, and she has a Furby and she really likes it. So yeah, I thought it is her favorite toy. So we found a Furby, which is, yes, her favorite toy. This makes me so happy. Yeah, so her favorite color is purple, her favorite dessert is plum pudding, and her favorite toy is Furby. And if we got all this right, our last chance to get the secret ending is here with the question. So let's see what the question is. Do you wish you could stay in your childhood forever? And if you choose no thank you, you will get a different creature. You can find it out by yourself. But if you say yes, it would be great, I would love to stay in my childhood forever, you get the secret ending. So let's watch it. It was an easier time, she says. She would say something more, but it was basically last minutes of the jam when I implemented it. So that's basically the idea. It was an easier time. So that's my result. As you can see, this is the logo of the game. This is a little bit like a face of the game. This was on the book as well. And this is maybe my favorite creature out of all of them that I drew. That's why I chose it. And it also has a fitting name to the question, Past Wing. So talking about the past, like how we want to stay in the past, in our childhood. And I think it just looks magical, so I like it a lot. And so I chose it as like the main villain, you could say, of the game. So that's my result. Here it says, you crave for a different world, a world long gone that can never come back, but maybe in stories, maybe there you can find solace, which is a super different description. Like if you get this, you don't know how the other descriptions are in this game for the other creatures. They are completely different from this one. Past Wing. What's happened? So here it starts like in the other endings, but it's actually different. Let's go. and we're just back in the bookshop, guys. So let's see how it plays out. How strange. Now I'm back at the bookshop. And the front door is unlocked. What on earth? Did I fall asleep? What a weird dream. Well, I better go. And that's it. So yeah, we are done with the secret ending, and this is actually the only good ending in the game, because I guess, spoiler alert or something if you wanted to figure it out yourself, but I think it's pretty obvious that you become an insect that you, well, not necessarily insect, tiny creature that you got as a result of the test in the end. When she disappears, yes, in the perfect world, again, it would be maybe an animation, and I would make like 72 different animations for each of the creature, where you can actually see mouse turning into that tiny creature. And unfortunately, again, didn't have time for that. So it is a bit more cryptic now in the game. She just disappears, right? And then you are shown the empty bookshop, and maybe it's even better that way because you can draw like your own conclusions. But also then you remember when you went into the bookshop, and when you see it, and then there are some tiny creatures like running around. Maybe it would be also smart to add another creature, but also I felt like there is another magical world that you are being transported in. All of these rooms that you saw, they don't belong actually in our world. It is another world. I chose same tile set I have drawn already, right? Because again, time crunch. But actually, it is another world of these tiny creatures, and so in my mind, she kind of stayed in that world. Right, but there I think she can also come out and hang out in the bookshop, but she can't really, I think, leave the bookshop. And also the interesting detail here, when the door is always unlocked, it's always open, so anyone can enter. But when she entered, she couldn't leave, right? The door was locked suddenly. If you remember, she thought Clarissa locked it, but then like, oh, but where would she get the key, right? And you get locked in there, and so you either get rescued maybe when people notice that you are missing, or if you start looking around and you find that back room. I feel like the code and the door, it was added because I feel like this shop, it was here for a long time. You can also notice that the cash register, it is very old style, right? So at some point, people have noticed that something weird is happening, so they blocked that door where people were disappearing in the room, and they made a code for it, but the code literally says that it is a trap. So, which is okay. I guess they had their own ideas to how to handle this, right? So it's not the person who made the book. The person who made the book made it readily available. You could just go into the room and get the book and read it and like join this person in that parallel world as a tiny creature. So that's basically the idea. But then when people realize something is off, they locked the door and they made that code. So this is how that happened. But then now if you stay here and you find the code and you go into the back room, which doesn't necessarily happen. So I feel like now, especially since mostly people in this town, they prefer just not to go near that bookshop, disappearances are not that frequent because of all these things. But obviously they can still happen, like we see with Mausu. But if you actually stay true to her, how she is as a person, which you can't know as a player, it's like it's a gamble. You can find it, you cannot find it. But if you go through that route, she actually gets the same result as the person who has created the test. And then that person is like, okay, I'm kind of not comfortable with there being two past things, so I'll just let you go. And that's why this is the only good ending, because she's just sent back to the back shop without turning into a tiny creature, and there she can freely leave because the door is unlocked again and is waiting maybe for a new victim. Because I feel like I only did 72 creatures, but in this world I can imagine there are countless options. There are many more creatures that you can get, and the fact that she got the same one, it was actually insane, huge coincidence or luck or something like that, and that was really like unprecedented event. And about the person that is behind it, I feel like they owned this bookshop, but they were mostly interested in science, especially in biology, and they liked also Alice in Wonderland, and they also played Minish Cap. I feel like they played Minish Cap when they already became an insect, which is kind of crazy if you were looking at the timeline, but let's not think too hard about that. The idea is this person was really fascinated with tiny creatures. First of all, with insects, because they were living in our real world, and insects are the epitome of tiny creatures for me personally. And so they were researching the insects, and then they found about that parallel universe and the ability to turn into that kind of tiny creature that is similar to an insect in some way. They were really all about that. As you can see from the poetry, this person thinks, let's call him or her, I actually don't know the gender. It's not really important, so I didn't think that through. So that person, that bookkeeper, they decided to do it, and they turned into that past thing, into that tiny creature. But they thought that it's such an honor to be turned into tiny creature that other people would just fucking love the same to happen to them. So in their mind, giving that book was a huge service to the people, because they could go through the test and get the creature that fits them the most, and be forever trapped in the truest form, as they would think. And so for them, they were actually doing something good. And yeah, again, as you can see from the poem, at first they felt alone, like, oh, I'm the only tiny creature here in this magic world, I need others to also turn and join me. So that was the idea behind it. That's basically the story. I think I covered it all. If you have any questions or you wanted something to add, you can do it here in the comments, or you can also go on my Ludum Dare page. There's also itch.io page of the game. If you come here from Ludum Dare and you listened to all this video, if you maybe couldn't play through the game for some reason, because unfortunately I don't have HTML version, I couldn't embed it so maybe you couldn't download it, maybe you couldn't play it, and you just saw the game through the lens of my video walkthrough. If that's enough in your opinion to give it a rating, then please comment on my Ludum Dare page if you give a rating, or you can just leave a comment. That would be very sweet as well. I love reading them. Obviously, it makes me happy if people play my game. It makes me especially happy if they enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this video as well. As I said, please share your thoughts in the comments here on Ludum Dare, on itch.io, follow me on itch.io. But that would be it for today, so thank you for watching and see ya.